Barely 24 hours after the suspension of the new acting chairman of the new acting chairman, EFCC, Abdul Karim Chukul, has assumed office. This comes as Mr. Bawa is still being held by the Department of State Services, and it's unclear when he'll have his day in court. Sifon SCN has more on this. Let's bring you that report.
Officials at the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, are coming to terms with the changes at the helm of affairs. The acting chairman, Mr. Abdul Karim Chukul, hit the ground running following the suspension of Mr. Abdul Rashid Bawa.
Many persons at the agency, talking about officials of the agency, are grappling with the fact that the change came suddenly. It's something they did not see coming, but it has happened, and the acting chairman is now going to roll out his mandate for the time being.
Mr. Bawa's ordeal continues to elicit reactions from those who kept tabs on the activities of the agency under him.
Mr. President, tackling this.
Austin Oleho is one of those who monitored activities of the anti-corruption agency with interest.
The man who is supposed to stop everything that has to do with financial corruption, if he's found wanting because there are accusations by the former Zamfara State Governor Matawela and other people, other institutions have also accused him of a request for bribe and high-handedness in the management of his unit.
The suspended EFCC chairman has been answering questions at the Department of State Services.
I think it's unfortunate, but let's look at what the president has done. Once you have a reasonable reason to believe that these things give you good reason to investigate them, the only thing left was to suspend them. That is the minimum the president can do.
It's unclear when Mr. Bawa will have his day in court. Sifon ACN, TVC News, Abuja.
Joining us in the studio is a lawyer, social development advocate, Olutumbosun Oshifora. It's nice to have you join us this morning.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Welcome. Great.
Morning.
Now, the suspension of Abdul Rashid Bawa, by a lot of persons, say they are not surprised because it seemed to be the what happens every time a new administration comes on board, where the EFCC, and in fact almost all EFCC chairmen, towards a certain level, they get suspended for one reason or the other, and so on. Well, before we go into the issues of allegations and all of that, a lot of Nigerians are concerned that EFCC should be an institution that should run in such a way that when the chairman is appointed, he runs his tenure, his time in office, and then he exits when he has to exit. Talk to us from this window. It looks like, well, this is just what happened from Ribadu to the others, to Ibrahim Magu, and so on.
Lamade, Farida.
Exactly, Farida.
All right, I think it's just the same pattern. But I think let's start from the point of law. Now, if you look at the EFCC Act 2004, it's been also reviewed and amended, like that. But the basics in the law says that the president will appoint the chairman of the EFCC, the commission, subject to confirmation by the Senate. So technically, your appointment is at the instance of the president. Now, that leaves us with, there's been argument back and forth that, okay, is the agency a political tool in the hands of, the executive and all that? That argument is neither here nor there. One, because the president or the executive would like to work with somebody that they are in sync with. At the same time, that also speaks largely to the independence of the commission, because there's a thin line between working with someone that our goals are in sync and also drawing the line also would mean that how much influence would the president wield over such a person whose employment is at its instance. So it now depends on how much the president is given to the rule of law. Because if it's somebody who believes in the rule of law, then you will have an independent agency. If it's somebody who doesn't believe in the rule of law, then that means that the agency becomes a tool to witch hunt in the hands. We've seen that before. Excuse me. We've seen that happen, in earlier administrations, and we saw how at the end of the day, when that administration goes, you know the fallout and everything, you see that this thing was actually a tool, the agency was used as a tool. But really, the agency is independent, but is also attached to the executive and somewhat attached to the president because the laws are clear, and that's it. Now, so that's why you find out that, and people, particularly opposition, are always quick to come and cry wolf, that this man was removed because of this. And unfortunately, too, if you look at the pattern from Ribadu up to Bawa, they tell you that abuse of office can be as wide as this, and it can be as tiny as this. Yeah. And then they have not really we're not privy to the the specific allegations, but they've given us a blanket one, abuse of office. And then also, what they have done is that he needs to step aside while his investigation is going on. I feel that's in order. In all fairness, that's in order because he wasn't like arrested. What happened in the case of Ribadu was different from what we've seen with Bawa. So he wasn't like he was hounded and everything. He was first asked to step aside, hand over to the director of operations, then, pending investigation. If the investigation comes out to be in his favor, maybe he will return, maybe he will move on to something else. That is also at the discretion of his employers. But as it stands, I think they started on a good note. Stepping aside, investigating him, and finding out what has gone down. I think he's been with the DSS and trying to, shed more light on what's gone down. But for me, I came in contact with Bawa during the subsidy probe. Fantastic young man, brilliant, fantastic, and thorough. And I saw some things in the news. In fact, I'm on a WhatsApp group. My law school set. And I said, see, I can stake my certificate on this man. You see if he's corruption and all those things. Somebody was like, you just lose your certificate. I said, well, Nigerians, we have a way of, looking at. I said, from my dealings with him back then, everybody came with all sorts of things during the subsidy. And this one, he was a young man. He had nothing to lose, but he stood his ground. And he did a fantastic job. Now, so with what has come now, well, we'll have to leave it to the administration and see the outcome of the investigation. And, let's just believe that everything will follow its due course. And then we will, definitely the outcome of the investigation, were particular about it because we saw the allegation, what is being put forward was abuse of office. And like I said, abuse of office can be as big as what it is, and it can be as tiny as whatever they say it is. Now, so then also we saw the allegation by Matawali, but we saw a rejoinder by Bawa that bring your evidence. If you said you have video, because there was a rejoinder from him where he said that Bawa wanted to collect money or he collected money and all that. And Bawa came out whilst he was in office and said, say, if you have anything like that, bring it out. We have not seen anything from Matawali. Maybe he's still,
putting it together.
Putting it together or still working on his retirement. But maybe that also might form part of the investigation. We don't know. But for now, what we know is that Bawa is no longer on sit. Bawa is under investigation. And pending when the outcome, or by the time the outcome of the investigation is out, they will be able to say specifically and maybe try him in the court of public opinion.
No, but of course, that shouldn't happen, even though he's now in the eye of the storm. And this accusation is something that, many politicians that the agency has, clamped down on, so to speak, have also been, talking about this issue of court of public opinion as against the regular courts. But looking at ICPC, the laws enabling ICPC, the laws enabling EFCC, I don't know, there's something that does stand out, the EFCC out. You said something about the fact that the president has the right to hire and fire, but, moving forward.
Subject to Senate confirmation.
Absolutely.